I think it's a weekday. I know that a lot of you have just stepped out of office meetings and you're possibly pretty tired after a long day of work. But Aditya has promised us that this is going to be an interesting session, so I'm going to put the onus on him. But for those who don't know Aditya, I have great pleasure in introducing you to Aditya. Aditya and I worked many years ago in radio together. That's where we first met, and he's always been a content creative guy. And then he moved into the OTT space, and very recently moved to a platform called Lomotif, which in fact launched in India about 2 weeks back, but is a big platform in South America and Brazil, launching in the US soon, and soon in other parts of the world. And Aditya leads the platform globally for them. So he's right in the middle of short format content and short format storytelling. And we thought that he could really, given the fact that one of the parts of the current course we're doing is around content and storytelling. The idea was to bring in somebody who's really working on the cutting edge of short format video and short format storytelling, and get their insights into how is this place shaping up, what are the challenges with short format storytelling, how do you engage this consumer who currently has the attention span of a goldfish on Instagram, and how do you work with short format 5, 10, 15-second videos and be able to still get somebody to stay on your platform and engage with you as a platform, or engage with brands who are trying to use the platform to connect with audiences. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it to Aditya. Aditya, thanks for being here, and looking forward to this.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks for a lovely introduction. And indeed a pleasure to be here and speak about something that I'm extremely passionate about. I was also told by Riley that this is one of the first sessions of this series, which is also open for people outside of the course, and that's great. So I think the pressure is a little too much. I'll try my best to try and keep it as interesting as possible. Also considering this is one of the first one in the series, I thought I can take a little high road, and instead of just diving straight into short form, I give a little perspective in terms of content and social media, video, and then probably moving into short form specifically. We can then look at the different formats, the advantages that it has. And thanks, Andy, for having that perspective in terms of when I read what you wrote on the post as well, that you want to keep it specific to how short form can be used by brands and marketers. And interestingly, it's not going to be very different how an influencer or a creator is going to use it. But keeping that bracket in mind, I've put together a deck. Probably it will be easier for me to start taking you through the short form content pieces that I've got. I'm trying to avoid giving you too many use cases, considering short form content is so all around us. I think it's best that all of us start understanding what I'm trying to put forth, and then start probably attaching it to a use case that you know of, instead of me just giving you a use case and then it becomes like one for all. Yeah. Cool. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen.
And just to reiterate rules of engagement, if you do have questions in between, just put up your hand, and we'll get Aditya to kind of address specific questions. And I'm sure you'll have lots. So, or if you have something towards the end as well, we can do that at the end.
960.
Okay. Yes, we can see your screen, Aditya. If you want to go to see.
I'm not able to play it. Not able to.
Yep. Yes, it's clear.
Okay, great. So before we dive into the presentation, let me quickly tell you a bit about myself. I know, at least I know Vanshika here, I know Riley here, and Andy, of course, I've known you for a long time now. But for people who don't know, well, I started my career in advertising. I started off as a copywriter. In a very short span of little over 2 years, I worked with 3 agencies. I worked with Lintas, I worked with Rediffusion, Dentsu. But I was always drawn towards, live media, wanted to be part of the live content creation process. And that in a way led me to join Big FM. Private FM channels were the place to be back then. And over the years at Big FM, I worked in multiple capacities. Was part of the national creative team, programming team, the regional content development team. I was heading Mumbai programming for about 2 years, and working in an audio medium, radio to create content, which was live, which was recorded. It was a great learning experience. And with that, I then moved to Bahrain for about 5 years in the Middle East to run the Indian radio station there. That was great too, because the audience there in Bahrain was a lovely mix of Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Nepalis, the other expatriate communities from Europe and US. So, the things that we keep hearing, like how music is this universal language, while we were in Bahrain, we actually experienced that firsthand, because all the content programming was designed basis music. And what really mattered at the end of the day is, just how entertaining the station was for everyone. And it wasn't really about who is from which part of the world. So when I moved back to India in 2017, I focused more on moving into the digital space for content creation. For about a year, I worked with Big FM. I was part of the team to develop digital first content ideas as an extension of radio programming. Post that, I joined ZEE5, the OTT platform. I was first heading the programming for the in-app music platform and then I went on to head the platform for curation and featuring. While also at ZEE5, we launched Hippie. This was the in-app short form platform where I worked closely with recommendation and product teams to understand, content discovery from a user perspective, and helped iron out customer journeys for the platform. And as Andy was saying, earlier this year, I joined Lomotive. It's a global short form video social app. And I work as the global platform head for them. And we've just officially launched as of 19th of November in India. And you'll be hearing more about us soon in the coming days. Well, while all of this was on, I also tried my hand at music and art curation, focusing on promoting indie talent and world music. And that's really where my core of my passion lies, along with content. We did host a few events, featured artists like Trilok Guttu, Shubha Mudgal. Probably, sometime I will get back to that soon. In the meanwhile, we can start with content, short form. Why is this not moving? Okay. Yeah. So talking about content, broadly, it's a mix of information, experiences, which is clearly directed towards an audience, right? It's a communication of ideas, and this can be communicated in any form, and then be it speech, be it writing, be it different forms of art. What is important is that how well does this content stick with the end user, with the audience? So, before we begin on short content or short form content, let's understand that short form content is not something that is new. We all have been consuming short form content almost all the time. It's not about our generation or the previous generation. It has always been there. I think what has changed is just the way that content has been presented then and the way it's presented now. Like for me, even a nazam or a share is a short form content, like this print ad here. Like headlines have always existed, then be it a print ad or a 30-second ad spot, these were always there. The difference is that these were products or services, or probably when you look at a newspaper and a news article, these were the headlines about latest news or events, right? The fact that make these different is that they were presented to us mostly when we hadn't really asked for it, or we had not really consciously gone fetching for it. Like We saw them during a commercial break, or reading a newspaper or a magazine, or hoardings, or before the start of the movie. What makes it look different than the short form that we know today is the fact that the medium has changed, definitely. But I feel before we enter that entire space of the medium being different and the change actually comes from the medium, I think the difference is something to do with ourselves, right? All of us have a voice, all of us have a mind, all of us have ideas and thoughts. So what has changed really is that we can now voice our opinions, then be it ideas, thoughts, just about anything that we want to share with everyone. It can be funny, it can be boring at times, it can be interesting. And that really doesn't matter what you want to share. I think what matters is that if we can share all that we want to, we have the ability to actually share it anytime. And that's what makes it different. What also I feel makes it different is that it is, unlike a print ad, it is not a one for all. The content that we know today is more of one to one. And just to give you an analogy, if you are looking at a music concert, like an event that is taking place in an auditorium, there is a certain distance between the artist and the audience. The artist is seated on a stage, the audience is seated in their seats. But what if everyone in that auditorium, the artist and the audience, is on the stage? There is suddenly no segregation between the artist and the audience, which means the artist can also be a consumer and the audience can also be the creator. And I think this is where the role play changes. They interchange, they merge even. And I think today we as consumers of content, are also the creators. And it is not that we weren't creators before social media arrived, but the fact is whatever we want to say now can be consumed by almost everybody in the world. And that wasn't possible, earlier for anyone. So Andy Warhol said this, a long time ago. And although there are some people who maintain that he never really said it, but either which way, the statement still holds true today, because the latest trends that we see today, wherein one single video of 30 seconds, catches everyone's attention for about 2 weeks, and then it just dies out. We don't even remember the person, who did that video. But it would be wrong to assume that social media is the only reason that has made this possible. I mean, I feel if it has come to this point, it is clearly not only the platform that enables us to do it, but I think is a lot to do with us and each one of us that has probably led us to having this kind of short form content all around us. So, and I mean, while in college, I studied psychology, and one thing that I learned is that our mind is one of the most complex things. And in the context of social media, it is important to identify the way we present ourselves online. And most of this helps us understand further how the short form content, in a way, paves way for how we consume most of our content. Like, we can just look at our social media handles, to understand the real you and the virtual you. The difference between the two is, like, some may argue that you need to be as authentic as possible, when you're online. But then someone may ask that how authentic is authentic really? Because our likes, our dislikes, our passions, our hobbies, our behavioral patterns, all make for both the real as well as the virtual you. It's just that we choose what goes where, and we may want to hold back a few. Like, you would do a lot of things in your daily, active, time, but all of that doesn't really have to go on your social handles, right? So the more you reflect on, what you want other people to see about you, the more you, in a way, solidify a certain kind of image within their minds. And this image is real. It's not fake, because you have worked towards building it. And why is that important? Because this image helps us align ourselves with a particular community. And, and depending on the hat that you're wearing, you either wearing a viewer's hat or you wearing a creator's hat. You would go about being a part of a community to start with, and then probably start building your own community. You want to attract people with similar hobbies and passions and likes. And that's the way you start creating your own virtual community. You start, interacting more with them. And the easiest way to, to do so is not really by writing or, talking about it or using any other art forms or doing anything else for that matter. But the easiest way to do it rather is just by viewing content, like viewing videos, which then in a way, the platforms are built in a manner that will keep nudging you that after a certain amount of viewing that is done, you start ending up creating these videos, right? So when you look at the video consumption habits, among consumers today, we have really undergone like a radical, rather a permanent shift. I mean, gone are the days where, families would gather around a TV set to watch the same show. Today, members of the same family are more likely to binge watch alone in separate rooms on their mobile phones, or probably snack up on short social media content, watch video clips on their smartphones, and that could be probably while waiting for a class or standing in a queue at Starbucks. Or for that matter, you are in a conversation with your friend, you're at a restaurant, the conversation goes dull and you're back onto the phone, browsing through some random stuff. The fact is that we all love that content. We all love, everything about video that has to offer. You can choose what to watch. The more you start watching about a particular kind of content, the recommendation engineers are so smart, they will start pushing more and more. Like I know a few people who would, really not allow anyone else to touch their music streaming platforms, because if a particular song is not from my playlist and it's played on the app, then I'll start getting recommendations more and more of that artist and that kind of music. So it's really, really important on what you watch and for how long you watch it, because you will start getting recommended there. Getting back to videos, there are just so many of them, right? I mean, there are videos just about everything. And there are more and more studies that prove that, how video content is one of the most influential medium in the digital space. It builds this certain feeling of one-to-one communication. I mean, looking at the recent figures, especially from the last year, pandemic year, this is only going to grow further, because now this has pretty much become part of the, behavioral pattern of the audiences. So if video is one of the mediums, which is the now, what do we put in it? And, how long should that video duration be? And how does the content really going to work for that particular creator or that brand to bring in that engagement? And I think that's probably where, short form video comes in. It's really the buzzword right now. I mean, be it for influencers or be it for brands or just consumers and viewers, like more and more marketers are, incorporating short form content in their social marketing strategies, right? I mean, recently Instagram CEO made a public announcement that Instagram is no more a photo sharing platform, but one of its main focuses is video. Now, this gets you thinking, because you're going to say that, wow, if this really is the future, and if this is the space that we're talking about, then short form video is the place to be. So yes, video is here to stay, but what do we put in it? How long should we put the content in it is something that we will see what the future is going to look like. So when I open, any platform, and really any platform, one of the first things that I do is I look at that little bar at the bottom, and I try to find how long this video is going to be. And frankly, if it's 5 minutes or more, I'm probably not going to watch it, because I just don't have the time, and nobody has the time these days. I mean, we are in this attention economy where less is more, and social media, if you ask me, has stirred this great change in the way we consume information. Like, short form video is, um, how many people, especially younger consumers, the way they seek entertainment or they stay informed, all of that goes back to, just consuming content in a shortest span of time. So that started as an emerging trend, which has now become like a permanent fixture. And this is how people are actually engaging with the world now. So short form video content, continues to, in a way, dominate this digital space because it can be incredibly short. You can consume more video content across different platforms from different creators. And, short form videos are everywhere, like, platforms like TikTok, Takata, Reels, YouTube Shorts, Google, LinkedIn, Pinterest. They keep expanding their product features. They are adding more and more new offerings for the users. And obviously brands are, taking notice of this. So, it was in a recent survey that it was found that, more than half of marketers, around 51% to be precise, use short form video to increase their marketing investment. So what is interesting to know is, especially from last year's pandemic, is that short form video platforms have seen a huge surge in consumption as well as short form video creation. So about 56% of videos created by businesses today are 2 minutes or less. And the audiences are responding to this. So 53% of videos that are 90 seconds or less are watched to completion, which means that over 50% of people who are watching videos that are 90 seconds or less are actually completing them, which is pretty good given that our attention spans are 7 seconds by now. And to compare that to videos that are, say, 30 minutes or longer, you're only getting 10% completion rate. So the short form video market, in a way, from the last 2 years, has grown about 3 to 4 times in its user base. It has grown about 12 times in the total time spent by all users on these platforms. And this kind of content has started giving the highest ROI for social media marketing strategy, as about 30% of social media marketers are now investing it, in short form content than any other trend. So if you want people to watch your videos, shorter, the better. So, if everyone's talking about this, short form videos, and interestingly, there has to be a number to it, right? That everyone has agreed upon, that if everyone is talking about short form, then there needs to be 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute. What is that universal agreed upon number? Now, if you look at TikTok, okay, TikTok used to have about 60 seconds of content that they would allow on their app, which has now gone up to about 3 minutes. There is short form video content on Twitter, which gives you about 2 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 seconds of duration. Reels, Thriller has about 60 seconds. But, with the rise of, Reels and Shorts and, any other platform that we're talking about, the video duration is actually getting shorter and is lending itself to more of a 60 to a 2 minute duration. And I think the perception of short form content on platforms like the ones that I mentioned is actually around 2 to 3 minutes. YouTube being an exception, because I guess the sweet spot for YouTube content duration lies at around 10 minutes. So any content that's under 2 minutes or 2 minutes 30 seconds max should be considered short form. And we are now seeing content which is about 5 seconds long, 10 seconds long. And interestingly, that content is entertaining as well. So if you're thinking of short form videos, YouTube remains an exception because it does have short form as well as long form, wherein you look at apps like TikTok or Takatak or Reels and other short form platforms, that becomes the rule. So YouTube still stays as an exception, but the rule then becomes these particularly platforms that are particularly giving you only that kind of content. What is interesting to note here is that be it any platform, what people want right now is they don't really want polished content anymore. They are looking for something which is more humanistic. They are looking for something that is more real. It needs to be rough around the edges, and it definitely needs to be entertaining. And when it comes to entertaining, people often mix it up and confuse it by saying that entertaining means funny or being humorous. It is not so. Entertainment does not mean it has to be funny. It means that it needs to entertain you. Like a horror film can be entertaining. So we should not get stuck on short form content that needs to be funny only. It can be educational, it can be tutorial led. It needs to have a hook. It needs to make the user go back and watch it again and probably like that video, maybe comment on it, share that video. And this kind of behavior then starts creating that social engagement. Eventually this kind of behavior will start nudging the viewer to start creating, and then that's where the entire creator flywheel begins for any kind of short form content.
A quick question here, right?
Yep.
And I was watching, Ashish Chanchilani, an interview of his, right? And Ashish is a YouTuber who creates pretty crazy content and super popular online with young people, right? And one of the interesting thing he said, which even I noticed, is that the kind of content that appeals to, let's say, today's Gen X or Gen Z, let's say 16 to 21-year-olds or 22-year-olds, is starting to change, right? And I see that in my son, right? I have a 17-year-old son, and I see that the kind of humor that appeals to him is like a completely different genre altogether, right? So the question is this: that when it comes to creating content, even in short form, is there going to be a world where you're going to have these buckets of very narrow audience segments, and you'll have to think about creating different type of content for each?
See, I think the niche content buckets would always, there will always be a room for niche content buckets. Considering all of the content is, basis pretty much the trends or any topical or seasonal happenings around the world. You will be getting content that is done by, so many creators around the world. And that's wherein I guess the whole intention of these platforms also is that once you start viewing this, you will start building your own communities, or you start being part of that community. So I guess viewing content and being a part of the community is just the two sides of the same coin. And the more and more you start becoming, active in these communities, then that is the kind of content that you end up viewing more, sharing more. And because you are doing that, the recommendation engine also will start pushing more of that content and less of any other content that would probably appeal to you. Because imagine if every content that is created on the platform gets recommended to you, you will just go crazy, trying to figure what I like and I don't like, and which is where that filter itself sets it and makes it easy for you to start liking. The other thing, Andy, what you're saying about age, and if you look at other demographics like region, language, those any which way become the set filter for creators to start reaching out to these communities, wherein they would actually find an audience that they can relate to.
Cool, thanks.
Cool. Okay, so to broadly summarize, from a branding and a marketer's perspective, what makes short form content, click with the social media, with the social media audience. One, it definitely improves your viewership, because watching every minute of a lengthy video is not really possible. So it's a lot easy to find relevant, useful information. Just watch a short video, get all the information you need all at once, probably with that dash of entertainment that you're looking for. This ensures that your audience actually watches that entire piece of content, which then leads to increased audience engagement. It is particularly useful when you want to communicate important information about your brand. The other thing that goes with short form content is that it's obviously less time consuming. One of the leading arguments that goes always in favor of this is that it requires less time to create and also to publish. So this pretty much puts it at the forefront. The other piece is consistency. One of the major pillars of content, creation and content strategy. It creates this sense of anticipation, among the viewers, subscribers, or social media audiences at large. And the biggest advantage of this kind of content is that you can use it actively to engage with your audience on a regular basis. Since it is less time consuming, you can actually publish at a much greater frequency. The other piece here, being mobile friendly, is that it's all about precision and length, right? So it's easier to watch a 3-minute video versus a 30-minute video on a TV. So keeping short ensures that your audience actually watches it on the mobile phone instead of saving it for later. Now, there are some case studies that actually say that people end up sharing long form content a lot more socially than short form content. But it does not really consider the fact that it takes much longer to create long form content. In fact, you could probably finish creating 3 to 5 short form videos in the same amount of time required for a long form video. And together, such short form videos can any day outperform the long form video in terms of the social shares. And better engagement, crisp and to the point social media posts, they pretty much always grab the attention of the audiences. And once they do, it is likely that they will consume in its entirety and may even share it on their own profiles. This leads to then improved engagement levels, takes your content to a wider audiences. So just to give you a few ideas and discuss how these formats can actually be incorporated in content strategies, then be it for brand marketing or influencer or creator promotion, or for that matter, just to move the needle, from being a viewer to a creator, and then just starting the entire creator flywheel. But before we begin, let's just take note that YouTube now, with shorts, and Insta with reels, and Twitter with video, and the host of other platforms of short form videos, there is no longer an option. It is just about everywhere. And I guess probably because of that, short form needs to be part of the social media strategy that one is laying out. So one of the main ideas, I think, the first one, undeniably, would be the user-generated content. I mean, if you are on the brand side, and this is the opportunity to work with the influencers and the creators to, get them to work on the content for you. It's a lot, and I do get the overall content overwhelmed, but this is an amazing opportunity to hire content creator to start making short form video content for you. Get them to create it for you on the brand page. Work with them. Don't get them to post that content on their page. Get it on the brand page, so you could include it in the in the overall social strategy. And from a creator or an influencer's perspective, this itself becomes a go-to strategy, because this is something that they use it for pitching and positioning themselves as someone who can create this kind of content for them. So what happens with this is that both the brand as well as the creators can repurpose that content, So if you're making a reel, it can be served on YouTube Shorts. It can be served on any other short form apps. So you don't really have to look at it as how we're going to create so much content, within a short span of time. You actually end up creating only one piece of content and you repurpose it as per the different platforms that you want to, publish it on. The other idea that works very well with short form is BTS, behind the scenes. It is the behind the scenes footage. It's one of the easiest content actually to make. Like, just to give an example, one of the restaurants that I really like in Mumbai in BKC is O Pedro. And, the way they post the inner workings of their team, a special guest in the kitchen or at the restaurant for that week, how they are preparing for a special menu that's going to be up in, the next 2 weeks from now. More and more brands are, actually making this type of content, and it's becoming more forward facing for the brand, because it helps audiences connect with the brand a lot more. So even as a creator or an influencer, it is interesting to do a lot of BTS content, because while you work on the niche content that you want to focus on, it's also important to humanize that content. And like a food influencer, doing content about grocery shopping, or a video about why you like a particular ingredient more than the other. BTS content helps build that direct conversation channel with the audiences, and build that one-on-one rapport uh, with your audiences, wherein you end up increasing a lot of your social engagement. And one of the best things about a video like that is that uh, it ends up getting shared a lot more when you are in that conversation on a personal level, linked to it. The other format that I feel really works well for, yeah, you want to say something?
I had a question. So when you say UGC and you say short form formats, so how do you link UGC to that? Because it's end of the day, it's the user that is going to generate that content. So
Correct.
how, yeah. So how does short format really? I mean, if you could explain that, I'm a little lost there.
Okay, so a creator is also a user. An influencer is also an user. So before moving directly into, if they are particularly talking about a brand or marketing a particular product, the audiences are always going to be linked to that particular user that they follow, because they end up doing conversations and content that the audiences really like, and that's wherein they will have their own community. If there is a particular campaign or a product that needs to be spoken about by that user, it will be put across by that creator in their manner of doing content. It is not in the manner of how a brand may want to do that content.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Thanks.
So we were talking about, so the third one, which was the explainer or tutorial or educational. So, this type of short form content actually gives you the opportunity, sorry, to list your viewers or your customers pain points, and thereby offer like a solution. So by having a reel saying that I know this is a kind of problem you may be facing, and here's the solution, and by doing so you're showing or you're adding that value, this is what people would want to see. And this is exactly why someone would end up following you, because you are helping them solve a particular problem, and you're probably adding a certain value to their otherwise surfing random stuff on their phone. So then, be it for a brand or a creator, make sure that the content always adds that value, then be it by educational or tutorial videos and so on and so forth. Yep. You raised your hand again, I guess.
That was the previous one. Mandrila, you had a question? Please go ahead.
No.
Okay, cool.
That was previous one. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so moving from the popular, I mean, there are obviously more short form formats, but I just thought of speaking about these three because these are the more of the popular ones. I think there are certain things that we can keep in mind. More like a go-to mantra for short form video content. So if you look at these 5 things, very, very closely, chances are that the content will end up generating higher social engagement. And you could keep in mind these 5 shortcuts while you're creating videos yourself, or you're working with creators, or you're working with influencers, or for a particular brand, or while probably also you're shortlisting content, and you're trying to understand what kind of content would fit into the strategy that you really want to put forth. So one is, however short that the content is produced, it needs to help the viewer solve a particular problem. So it needs to always have a solution in terms of what is in it for me. And this particular solution should always be from the viewpoint of the viewer. The other one that you should stick to is behind the scenes. People, as I was saying earlier, they just love to see behind the scene snippets. It's a great way for them to feel connected. Then be it an individual or a brand, they start placing you in that virtual community that they belong to, and this just makes way for a more direct one-on-one communication. The other one is that be real. If the content is very, very real, it has that value added to that message. Short videos allow users to be creative, and most importantly be themselves. So more often it is very difficult to hide behind a picture or a caption, because it forces the creator to put themselves on camera and to share something in 30 seconds. So if the message isn't adding any value, it just won't stick. And if you're struggling with creating a new video, video footage can sometimes work out like a great option. It can also help the creator to tell the story better. It can help you frame their production well. It can fill in those gaps that you may have missed out on. It also helps maintain a good quality, and which is where you don't have to let go of the frequency of the post that you end up doing. The last one is the quick edit. So, high quality video editing software, it doesn't really have to cost very, a hell lot of money. You can do with very, very basic editing softwares, but you really need to edit it very well. Like you can really make high quality videos, and these high quality videos won't really look right if they're not edited well. So as much as an effort needs to go in ideating that for that content, to get the result in its best possible manner, I think editing and timing the content from the hook to the punch is very, very important.
Aditya, sorry, just if you go back, so 2 questions I had. So one is, sorry, the next slide here, the next one. Sorry for being uninitiated, but what does WIIFM stand for actually?
What's in it for me?
What's in it for me, Ajay? Simple. Okay. The second thing I had is that, look, we've been talking about something called the storytelling framework, right? Which is typically what you would use for slightly more long format content, which is the beginning, the middle, and then the ending, right? And
yeah,
typically when you do long format storytelling, you have there's this framework that one can go about using that. Let's say if you're doing advertising or you're creating branded content. But let's say in the content of short format videos where you have a very short and small window, right? Do you guys, I mean, do you as people working in the industry have some kind of a framework which you'll think through of when you're looking at a short format piece of content? What are you looking for in terms of, let's say, elements to know whether it will work or not?
Andy, the basic framework of a hook and a punch still remains pretty much the same in short form content as well, without which the content won't stick. It's just that the hook needn't really be, something which is long drawn. The hook can just be a trending music track. The hook can be, something which is a dance move that's trending, or if there is a meme that's growing popular on a particular celebrity and you just trying to ape that itself becomes a hook. So, the time taken to hook the audience is just about a second to 3 seconds at the max. And then your journey from that hook point to the punch, which comes in anytime from, your 10 seconds to 30 seconds. And that's where, your entire content lies here. And which is where a lot of short form content is viewed repeatedly as well, because you like it, is entertaining, but the basic framework still pretty much remains the same.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. Please go ahead.
So short form video, pretty much pushes the traditional media, boundaries, and it in a way provides people, with a quick and easy way to consume information, right? So this pretty much lends itself to a more creative way of communicating, which in a way has ways to excite people, to inspire people. And as any trend or platform, you should always consider the audience first. And it goes back to that, very old question: which channels are your audience is using, and for what? And therefore, for which channels does it make sense the most for your brand to actually create that kind of content? This means that while short form video is often known for its entertainment value, you can end up adapting it to align it to that brand. So in a way, that magic formula pretty much remains the same. What is right for the audience is something that you need to talk to them in that same language, that they understand. And here, when I mean the language that they understand, is not the brand language, is the language that the creator is putting out, for his community. And for a brand to become part of that voice, and that community to be noticed, campaigns like those we have seen on social media, the challenges that pretty much go trending every week, they also bring about this sense of community where people are trying new things together. They're sharing insights, they're participating in global trends, they're taking part in these competitions. And part of that big draw, with these types of short form videos is that they are immersive. They create this one-to-one connection. And, videos are meant to be fast, fun. They provide content that is largely, creator-led. And as a brand using this medium, you just going to go out and see the potential to strengthen your online community, help you attract new types of audiences, and then probably get deeper engagement levels with them. So what we know is already is that content is becoming an important part of every brand's marketing strategy. And one thing that sets that short form videos apart is the trend culture. So most of the short form platforms are run by dances, different sounds, music challenges, social challenges. And to get your brand the right amount of traction, they must often, join into that fun, because through this is where they would be reaching to that audiences, that they intend to reach. So short form videos, it gives creators this innovative way to showcase their content. The growth of social media, as we know, is causing the human attention span to becoming shorter and shorter. So, just by leveraging the power of short form content, it will ideally give you like a leg up on the competition, and helps you engage with your audiences a lot better. I guess that's that from me. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much, Aditya. That was super interesting. Guys, I'm going to open it up for questions. And if anybody has a question, please raise your hand and go ahead and ask Aditya. And it could be anything related to what you know or want to know about short form content, or any other questions, which could be even beyond, let's say, what Aditya has covered today. But I think some, yeah, please go ahead.
So yeah, Aditya, it was fantastic. You really got to know a lot. But now I'm just thinking, one of the challenges that we face oftentimes is when we have to send out a brief to a short format content creator, right? How much, I mean, see, because we are so used to writing advertising briefs, and the challenge is we don't want it formatted, yet we want a certain messages communicated, yet we want the authenticity of the content creator. So is there any tips that you can give us in terms of what we should include in how much of the brand, or how should we formulate the brief?
I was just having a long drawn discussion about onboarding influencers on the platform. And we had created this long list of do's and don'ts for them, what kind of music they should use, and what kind of hook they should be looking at, and what is our current campaign, so they should try and keep their content around that space. And the onboarding agency kept telling us that these guys don't read the briefs. You can give them half a page, you can give them 3 lines, you can give them 1 page, but they're not going to. So I have come to believe that if you really want to give them a brief, or you want to get them to create some content for the brand, just get them to actually experience that brand or a service. And the moment that happens, you are giving that content creator a complete open wide platform and canvas to just go and talk about that service or brand in a manner that his audiences would expect him to, right?
Nice. Okay.
During that time, if there would be a highlight point of 1 or 2 things that you would definitely want to put across, which I don't mean by a tagline of the brand, but any particular highlights of the product or the service that you want to get across to the wider audience, probably you can just put that across to the creator after he has experienced that brand. Because I guess the experience might be pretty much the same for a lot of people. It's just that the way they put it across for their audiences would be something their own, and which is where their audiences won't really have that jerk that instead of doing his normal content, why is he really pushing a particular brand or a service today? It just flows in very organic.
Nice. That's a good guidance. Yeah.
Awesome. Great question. Lotipa, please go ahead.
So the question from me is around just content. Let's say I have talked to like a couple of people who want me to create content for them, but I'm sorry for generalizing this, but saying righteous contents of sort, the things that they believe in, but that doesn't fit into their business plans right now, or where they want to go right now, but they want to sort of vent it out in a and they also don't want to be like very nice about it, which certainly has the capability of creating sort of a rift between their believers and all of that. So I have recently felt that sort of an anger, or creator wanting to use their space to vent things out. What do you do when situations like these arise? How do you handle situations like this? I'm pretty new to creators specifically. I have mostly worked with corporate and competition intelligence in particular. So this is very new to me. So I would love to know how you approach situations like that via short format content itself.
So you are asking this from a perspective of a platform or a perspective of a brand that has hired this creator?
I'm talking about a creator approaching us to create, help them create a content that aligns with their beliefs, but it's sort of controversial, let's say, at this very point of time, and it doesn't fit right into, like, the plans they have for their particular platform that they're representing right now. How do you approach situations like that?
Well, honestly, the creators with a certain amount of following is clearly because of the fact that, they voice their opinions and they have a certain line of thinking and they have a certain line of, thoughts that has got them that kind of following. If it does not really go well with what you're really looking at, then probably you should move to another creator, because telling the creator to not voice his opinions will not be something that any creator will take nicely, because at the end of the day they are creating the content at the rate and the frequency at which they are creating, trying to build that engagement from each post on post, day after day, week on week. They will try and add newer elements into what they create their content about, but they will never let go of the core basis which they have actually got their audiences, because this can cost them their subscribers and this can cost them their own viewership.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you.
Ashish, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, Aditya, this is from one of the past campaigns that we've done, and it had all the tick marks, right? Like getting best of the influencers and, following all the guidelines, but the content didn't kind of work. And it was short form. So it was, 1 minute on Instagram, all of that. And once we did the research and the learnings and all, it kind of felt back on the kind of content which was created. So the tip was that, the brand wanted the creator to follow certain guidelines and, voice out what the brand messaging is. And the creator felt that they didn't get enough liberty. So, to create their own style of content. Now, of course, when you get a brand endorser, there is, absolutely that, the brand will, or the endorser will speak the brand's language. But when you hire an influencer, it's obviously their style and their communication, what the followers like. So how do you kind of, draw this line and kind of explain the brand to give the creator that liberty? So that's generally the tiff that at least I have faced in all my past campaigns and experience.
The content was placed on the creator's page or the brand
creator's page, but of course then we went out of the ecosystem and promoted on digital. So typically a 1 minute was then created, like a 20-second was created and amplified, so that you can build traction on the creator's page as well. So all of those guidelines and everything was followed, but still.
Yeah, so what I was suggesting in the deck that I was talking about, this particular piece, is that you actually get the creators to create content for your product or service, but don't get it posted on their page. Instead, get it posted on your page, because the content has, and the brief also has to be that the content needs to be specifically done for your brand, so that the moment that content is done by that creator, get it posted on your page, and then start pushing it out on the other short form platforms. But the thing is, if you just do like a singular push or only for a limited period of time, see, if the whole idea is about building an engagement, it needs to be done regularly. It needs to be maintaining that frequency of posting that you're doing, and only then you will start building that social engagement from your channel, in the sense your page, which is not exclusive to that creator alone. So tomorrow you can keep changing the creators, but now that your brand has started doing this kind of content, you will have that audience that will continue to be on your page. Otherwise, what happens is that, your story appeared on the creator's page. He will keep doing, 10, 15 content pieces in like a month. It just gets buried right under that page. So I would rather suggest that get it on your page, keep repurposing that content for different platforms. You use that same content at different times, and then try and get newer creators so that you keep building that frequency.
Okay.
Part of the question was also, Aditya, it'll be good to get your point of view, is that given that the creator at the end of the campaign, when it didn't work, felt that they weren't given enough of liberty to create content that they believe could have worked better. See, that's always the challenge, right? When a brand gives a brief, they give you, I want this to happen, and it has to happen in this context. So they're not telling you the creative, but the fact is that they're putting in so many guidelines that eventually the creator goes ahead and does something because there's monetary value for them, but eventually it does not work for them. And in your opinion, I mean, are creators really, are they really careful about what they put on their own platform, or if the commercials are fine, they'll just go ahead and create anything that the brand wants, which eventually may not work, right?
Also, just adding on, Aditya, because if I put it on the brand channel, then the what the brand is paid for is the creator followership, right? Which necessarily is not there on my social handles. So the brand is still not as bigger or popular as the influencer, and that's one of the primary reason why I'm kind of aligning with that creator, so that I can leverage the followers and the fan, and thereby the engagement and
But
the views.
get the creator to share it from his handle. Get the creator to share it, but the content can still rest on your page. And I mean, I agree what Andy was also saying, that and what you brought up earlier, that the brand isn't really kicked about the way that eventually the way that the campaign happened. And with just too many guidelines, the influencer isn't very happy doing the kind of content that he ends up doing, because I feel, barring a few instances, they will not go against the kind of content that they end up doing to keep their subscriber base, because without that influencer may not have any influence left anymore. So more often than not, my ground rule has always been, instead of briefing them with too many guidelines, just try and get them to understand what the product or the service is about, and just let them do a complete post their own way.
Okay. Nishant, sorry, you had a question?
Thanks.
Hey, hi Aditya. It's a very basic question, since I'm kind of a novice in this whole short format and the whole digital world, to be honest. The simple question that I have is that when it comes to a TV program or something, I know that there is a certain limit that a certain time limit that a viewer has watched for this long, which means that it can be counted as a viewer, or rather whatever that particular term is. Now, since the short form content itself is short, what is the time that you decide on that, if somebody has stayed on your particular page, that then this decides that this person had intended to come to see your content in the first place, and it was not an accidental click or something of that sort? Considering the fact that mobile itself is pretty small and fits in your hand, you don't know that if you have actually intended to see some reel, or you just clicked on it. So it's something as basic as this.
So every platform will have their certain parameters basis which they will count as a view and as an engagement. So typically, and just to give you a very broad understanding, if you're looking at a 30-second content, if anyone is moving away from or skipping the video, say in less than 3 seconds, it will be considered as a skip, and you would be rated as a negative, which means the user didn't like the video. If the time on that video by the user is, say, between 3 seconds to say 7 or 9 seconds, it would be pretty much like a neutral. He's still trying to watch the content. Anything above 9 seconds could possibly be a positive rating. And then if the user engages on that video, then be it liking, commenting, sharing. Basis that order, you would then be rating what that user's engagement has been on that video. Now, basis that, you will then be recommended furthermore videos. From the brand perspective, you should definitely look at how much of engagement that the video has drawn, and anything which is from neutral and above, I think should be a good rating or a metric to look at.
Okay, so suppose a brand is trying to collaborate with a particular influencer or a creator rather, right? There has to be a similar ground rule. Like if that person says that, you see, my contents are generally of 30 seconds, and I have so many people who have watched my content over 3 seconds, per person that I'm talking.
No. But I was talking this from a platform perspective.
Okay.
Creator may not really know if someone has watched his content 3 seconds or 7 seconds or 9 seconds.
Okay.
If it's more than 3, so it will again depend on the platform. If the platform gives, if watches it, say more than 1 second, you could consider that as a view. Some of the other platforms, they may just consider out of 30 seconds, if they watch it for 3 seconds, that will be considered as a view. So it will depend from platform to platform. It will not be a ground rule for all platforms.
Fair enough. Got it.
Sorry, Karthik.
So what you can do is actually you reach out to the platform on which your campaign is on, and try and get these metrics from the platform itself. So if you're doing the campaign on, say, Insta Reels or Takatak or Josh, you reach out to the platform to give you these metrics. Your creator won't be able to give you these metrics. He can only see the.
Okay. Thanks.
Karthik, please go ahead.
Yeah. So my question was primarily more from the perspective of looking at it from a funnel perspective, right? So looking at it, so you have long form and you have short form content. And so from the perspective of looking at it purely from a commerce perspective, okay, where you're looking at the customer and you want to drive the engagement with the customer, and you have various forms of content available. So where do you see the efficacy of short form content? At which stage in the funnel, whether in the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, any insight that you could be able to provide specifically, where does it play the most effective role?
Considering if you're looking at acquisition of newer audiences, considering the time taken to actually reach out to that wider audience through a particular form of content, it would definitely be short form, because that just creates like your wider funnel. But your messaging and your pointed conversation that you want to reach out could then possibly be through your longer format and more like a product driven specific pieces that you want to talk to your audiences. But to just get attention of a larger audience, I think short format would be at the top of the funnel, just to start narrowing it down further.
Thanks.
Last, I think we'll take one more question. Let's say 45. Prashant, please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Hi, Aditya. First of all, congratulations on a great launch in India. I was present there. It was amazing. The question which I have is, why does a brand or a short video platform prioritize an influencer with 100K or 200K followers with not so great content or reach, rather than with the influencer which has less followers, like 20K or 30K, but with a higher reach and great engagement and great content?
It's not that it is prioritized over the other creators or any other influencer per se. I can speak on behalf of the platforms that I have been part of. But what typically happens is that when you get into a recommendation feed, right? The recommendation feed a lot of times will start firing up content which is from the statistical engine, which is, it will start gathering from the last 7 days or 3 days or 10 days, how many people have viewed this content. Now, if a lot of people have viewed that particular creator's content who ends up having a lot of viewers and subscribers on his profile, you automatically are recommended that content if you're on the same platform. So it's not necessary that the platform needs to push that particular creator upfront. It automatically gets pushed further and further in the recommendation cycle.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
Awesome. I don't think there are any other questions, but look, parting shot before we go, Aditya, and look, I think most of the audiences are people who work either in content or work in businesses and brands, and therefore, obviously, short format content is something that you can't ignore, whether you're on the creation side or whether you're on the business and brand side, right? So, if you could recommend to us, who are some of the creators that you consider as benchmarks, not just in India or worldwide, who are really doing great work, and potentially there's a lot to learn from the kind of work they're doing, both from their own channel perspective as well as the kind of work they're doing with brands. Any examples you think that you can leave behind for us as a parting shot?
If you want, Andy, I can just share a list of creators and their profiles from different platforms, because I think that would also help a lot to start looking at multiple platforms, because the kind of content that happens on these platforms. So let me compile it by tomorrow and I'll send it across and you can just share it with everyone. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I think it might just become better. I will also share some of the international platforms. And you can just do a web page and you can view that content. I think that will be better. So I'll try and keep it from just a creator and influencer perspective, and also some of the content that they would have done for brands.
That will be great. Awesome. That will be fantastic, because I think eventually, I think the way the world is moving to shorter and shorter ways of engaging with content and brands, right? I think the time will come when maybe video will also not be viewable, and it'll come down to memes or something. That's it, right? That will be the attention span we have for. So it'll be great to get some examples, and we'll definitely pass it on to all the attendees here. But look, firstly, thank you so much for this. I think it's been really super interesting. We all know that short format content has been growing amazingly well, and I think this is potentially the tip of the iceberg, and we'll probably see a lot more happening in the years to come. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you everybody for joining in on a working day. I know that you have a working day tomorrow, so thank you everyone. Have a wonderful night, and
thank you.
Take care. Thank you, Aditya.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you, Andy.
Thank
It was a
you.
really
Thank you,
nice
everyone.
session. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.